So if you're a sophomore, get to the colleges, go to the camps, introduce yourself. Do not leave that camp without your specific coach's Twitter. You have to have the Twitter. It's not even about the phone number, the Twitter, because on Twitter, they asked me for my son's transcripts and a screenshot through DM. We gave weekly updates through DM. We take our posts and we forward it to the DM. This is what we did, and Rutgers ended up showing up. I'll spend 6 hours trying to get at a coach. Who's following him? Who's talking to him? How do I get the algorithm? I mean, it's a lot.
Did you ever, number one, worry about burnout, or how did you balance it to make sure that didn't happen?
My relationship is very open with my children. I'm fortunate that I can kind of tell if something's up, but I check in all the time. When your child is trying to keep their grades up, training after school with the team, training any kid that's going in a scholarship direction, they're training after that as well, trying to balance friends, checking in with them. It's making sure that you go into your account if you have it. I can see my son's screen time. It's important to know that when you go to sleep, if you let them, they're probably on their phone all night, not sleeping. Lack of sleep causes a lot of emotional problems. And I don't know if people realize that or not, but an emotionally drained child from not having enough sleep, who's trying to manage everything they're managing, is a lot. So in all honesty, checking in with them, and more than anything, making sure that they have some me time.
Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of Funny for Overtime podcast. I'm your host, Coach Tony, and today's episode dives into the real recruiting journey from a parent's perspective. This is something that you really, really want to listen to. My guest is Tonja Pacheco, founder of Football Mom 2027. If you've not seen it on Instagram, I don't know what you're doing. You're not following the right account. Listen, after losing her husband in 2009 while raising 5 kids, she has poured everything into helping her son Jackson create his dream as a class of 2027 defensive tackle, 3 technique, by the way, aspirations. Along the way, she's worn every hat imaginable: trainer, motivator, nutrition coach, strategist. And this is what I love. And through that journey, she's realized how overwhelming the recruiting world can be for families. So she built Football Mom 2027, a platform designed to give parents and athletes a real roadmap to recruiting exposure without the hype, the overpriced programs, and empty promises. And today, we're talking about the recruiting grind, how families can build real visibility, and what parents need to know so their athlete doesn't get overlooked. Tonja, thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you. That's the best intro I've ever had.
I like that. I feel honored. Listen, you do so much, and I say that honestly, and I'm like, I need to really hammer home because there's so much that you do, and I commend you for it because, again, being 5 kids, correct?
Yes.
Right? Raising 5 kids. I mean, and I know just from a coach, and I never coached a Division I athlete. However, I know many parents, friends of mine that have Division I aspiring athletes, and I just watch and I'm like, wow, this is like quit your job territory, like full-time job, right?
Absolutely is, yes.
And so
it's a rob Peter to pay Paul type of deal.
I love how you say that because it is true. I mean, and the expense and the time, and I mean, listen, I know you do it because you love it, and you do it because you love your son. And just speak it like, where did it all? When did it finally hit you? Say, you know what, I'm going to start Football Mom 2027.
Well, I had been dabbling around. I've been a social media strategist since 2015, trying to find my niche. My background is nutrition and bodybuilders. So my training comes not from athletes, but bodybuilders, but you can apply the two. So I had spent the last 9 years working out, nutrition, just all kinds of different things. So Football Mom 2027 was pretty much created out of my stubbornness. I was helping Jackson so much, and I'm sure we'll get into it, getting against a lot of obstacles, being an only parent and a female in the, not just the sports world, the football world. This is this is still a man's game. This is still this is a boys' club. When you take your son to a football practice from the age of 5 all the way up to high school, it's not the moms that are there. So it was football. I was starting to get the followers. I tend to, back in the day when I taught aerobics, my clients would always say, if Tanya can do it, I can do it. I've never understood the big deal about the things that I do because I just see something that needs to be done. I do it. And if I know that mistakes have been made or there's an awful learning curve, it's just normal for me to tell everybody else how to try not to do it the way I did it. So,
I like that.
and then the 2027 came. I love being a football mom. My other children are all girls. So Jackson's the baby of 5. So I love being a football mom. And then it's his graduating class. So I figured, hey, why not?
Nah, and I just saw too. He's going to a recruiting trip to West Virginia, right?
Yeah, Pitt tomorrow, West
Okay.
Virginia on Saturday, and then he's in Aaron Donald's workout. I'm going to say it wrong. I don't want to. AD2. There's
Oh,
so many people promoting it, and I was really psyched because I'm getting good at graphics. And Aaron Donald shared it to his stories, and so did the sponsors. So I was like, all right. But it's the Steel Trent Showdown in Pittsburgh. It's a I'm always going after exposure. Exposure has been my goal up until where we've arrived now. And then we're really excited about Virginia Tech.
oh,
Uh, Coach Spencer's been in touch with him on a daily basis. So
that's
that's been,
exciting.
yeah, that's been neat.
Yeah, and I think that's like sometimes, and I'm sure you could comment on this. Is like, yeah, it is a full time job that we talked about being able to help with recruiting and like you just said with imagery and all the social media stuff and to finally see it come full circle. It's almost like sometimes you step back and you're like, wow, this is you have to enjoy it, and it's like I can see the smile on your face
Yeah.
hearing from these coaches, right? I mean,
We were just saying that. We're like,
right?
me and my son had, because there's a lot of head games that goes on with this. And once he's recruited, once he's in college, I would love to do this again because there's a lot of
Yes,
things I can't say right now. However, a coach's etiquette and a normal human being's etiquette are two totally different things. It reminds me of dating and getting back in the dating world at 45 years old. It is just
it's got to be
crazy.
crazy. Well, you know what? It's funny you said that. Come back on because it's so funny. That's the reason why. So this is season 3. So when I started this, the funny thing was I kept telling everybody when I was coaching and I was and obviously pairing the 3 athletes. I said, man, when this journey's over, that's when it's go time. Like I got no more skin in the game. I ain't got to be politically correct with the coaches or the parent. Like I'm just coming out with it all. Like at the end of the day. So like
Exactly.
I've definitely had some controversial episodes of people like, bro, that really yes, that really happened. I wasn't allowed to say it then, but I'm saying it now because guess what? My kids are out. You know what I mean?
I've networked and made some very good acquaintances, friends in the business, and they'll say, "You can't say that," and I always go, "Yet."
Yeah, I like that. Yes, exactly. I love it. I love it. Now, the real parent journey, because again, like we'll call this kind of like the emotional anchor. And let's just so everybody knows, losing your husband when Jackson was just 8 months old, right?
Yeah, and the
Um,
girls were the twins were. They always get mad because I don't remember dates well, but the twins were like around 11,
okay,
and then Jocelyn was 12, and our oldest was just about turning 18.
wow.
Sorry,
So,
girls.
mm, so I listen. I mean, raising 5 kids basically on your own at that point, right? Um, the mindset.
Completely on my own. Family, friends, they not much.
And your mindset need to keep pushing forward. I mean, how that experience shaped the way you approach now parenting and sports?
So I was I like to say I was born a survivor. I I had myself experienced every form of abuse from emotional to physical by the age of 18. So for me, it's when things happen, you do whatever you have to do. In my mind, I feel bad. I play with my words sometimes because I feel bad for people that are a little weaker. But for me, when something happens I just have to figure out how to fix it. And I'm a person who always does find a way. Now, I don't always find the right way the first time,
Yeah.
but I do find a way. So raising Jackson was 8 months old. And as you can imagine, the girls, getting them through their father's death was the priority. Jackson has a different kind of relationship with the death of his father because he didn't know him. You won't hear my son talk about him often. He is a third generation D tackle, which he never says. And that's because of how my husband died. Because he took his own life, my son holds him responsible for everything and anything that has ever happened to me that's negative. So we have that. So got the girls through it. They're all beautiful young women, functioning adults. Some are pursuing degrees, others are moms. My daughter's pregnant with twins. I'm about to have grandbaby 4
Oh,
and 5.
congratulations.
Thank you. So with it, my oldest, one of the twins, Julian, she was an athlete, but I was really busy with Jackson and the other kids. So she just came to me and told me that she was going to a private school and to sign the paper. She was a straight A student. She joined a basketball and then volleyball, and then she was, team captain and taking me to go to colleges that were going to give her scholarships. So
Wow.
she could have went further than she did. And we've talked. I don't feel as guilty as I did once because what I pour into Jackson is not what I was able to pour into her. So because it's just him and I, he was about 5 playing flag football, and we stayed in Massachusetts. We were in Swansea, Massachusetts at the time. Community was wonderful after my husband's death. The girls, their support system. But it was becoming obvious from listening to the dads. Now, I should say this. The only thing I knew about football up until Jackson was what you guys liked for appetizers and how I was going to kill you for not getting me on the commercials because I always liked the commercials. Didn't know offense, defense, didn't even know it was called offense, defense. I literally knew nothing about football, except for the guys were big. So when I was listening to these coaches and these men, the first thing I was hearing was, I feel like I just talked to an adult. And mind you, Jackson's 5 years old. He's just barely in kindergarten. His football IQ was off the charts. And then he's always been a bigger boy. I like to take credit for his genetics. My late husband was 5'11", 186, 190 when he competed in bodybuilding. I'm 5'8", and I'm about 200 pounds. So those are
Nice.
my genetics right there. So I started looking into football. In New England, everybody seems to think that it's great football and there's a lot going on. But back then, because we're, in 2014 or so, name a New England Patriot who's from New England.
Yeah.
It's not football. And back then, football ended. It started in August and it ended in November. And they also went by weight classes, which means the first time he put pads on, he was going to be playing with fifth graders, which I'm really tough on him. I've become a much tougher female raising a boy. I won't say on camera what I was worried about, but I wanted to make sure he was a man's man.
Yeah.
So as things were progressing, I realized that when football ended, there wasn't much more for him. And then he was running down the field, and someone said he had his father's high step. And I realized that in that community, he was going to still be raised under the shadow of his dad. So I looked around. I don't like the heat. Jersey seemed to be where everything was. Anywhere anybody traveled for football, it was to Jersey. We could have went further down south, but again, the heat couldn't do it. So in 2017, I packed me and him up, told any of my girls who wanted to come with me, they could come, and we left. And we started over here in Brick, New Jersey. What happened after that was trying to get Jackson the right trainer. Now I'm tough because I'm a personal trainer. So I see form not being done right. And, I don't mind. You can be hard on him. I'd rather have a coach that's going to swear at him than a coach that's going to tell him, okay, if you're tired, you can rest. It took us 11 coaches before I found Ty Coleman of Boss Up Academy. He saw what I saw in my son and nurtured it. What I faced with, and I don't have to mention names because you know who you are. What I faced with some of the dads was don't give your son pipe dreams. I had two dads say that to me, because we talked about the NFL. I am somebody who thinks if you have a dream, turn it into a goal. Why not? You're either going to get close to it or smash it. I'm somebody that when I have a goal, if I'm not making headway with it sooner than later, I'll pick another goal because that's what I'm like. So with Jackson, finding somebody that actually saw his talent was hard. He was a quarterback, but I'll have an argument with anybody, and it always is an argument. In order to be a quarterback, your father has to be the coach. I am not saying that only, dads who have kids, but you name a quarterback, whose father wasn't a coach, at least through AYF or Pee Wee or whatever. So
Wow.
he
I didn't
was
even think about
a
that. You're making me think about that. Like, wow. You're right. You're right though. It's crazy.
Yes. So it became evident really quick that he was not going to be a quarterback. And Tom Brady is somebody who really, that's the only quarterback my son ever knew being from New England. And I didn't realize how long he was a quarterback until Jackson's 15 years old and saying that to me. So it was a tight end, is what he ended up, because he's got 10.5-inch hands. And he's had 10.5-inch hands since he was in probably seventh or eighth grade. He's been really, and the big long arms. So we were working on speed, and that's what Ty Coleman did a lot. Worked on the speed, but he saw his size and thought for sure he could go further. So in eighth grade, one of the things that I like about Jersey is the kids can pick their high schools. You don't have to go to the high school that the town that you live in. And again, everyone's going to say it's not true, but it is too. You can get a scholarship to all the private schools,
Yes, you
RBC,
can.
Donovan. Okay, it doesn't say you have a sports scholarship, but so Jackson had his choice of three private schools, and then the two schools in Brick. And when he decided to go to the public school, I said to him, Jackson, and I'll say Donovan because Coach Mack, he's the what do you call them? The recruiting coordinating coach. They have like a coach for that. And he met my son in eighth grade, gave him a nickname. He called him a pool filter. That's what he called him because the kid could catch anything.
Oh wow.
Um, and I said to Jackson when he wanted to go to the public school, I said, babe, you're going to put all of this on me. I don't know anything about it. And before I could even finish the sentence, because he was already taller than me, he looked down and said, but I love you, Mom. So
So
we're in the public school. He went to the public school. We live right on the line between the two schools. He had
okay.
played football in AYF with everybody from Brick Memorial. We practiced with Brick Township for about 3 months, and we were going to be on the team, but we transferred over to Brick. Emotionally, I don't want to make Jackson look bad, so it was a healthy mental decision to make instead of being with all these new kids. Plus, the team's way better. So, freshman year, he little superstar who's tight end. That he's playing defense now. He's a big kid, so he did a lot of blocking. Tight ends don't get the ball a lot, anyways. And then sophomore year, he didn't make varsity right away. And this is the first time that Mr. Superstar is low man on the totem pole. And he struggled with it. He skipped practice once. And that's not him. So I sat down and had a talk with him because we were very into football. I volunteered for everything, and I wanted to make sure he knew he could quit and not play, or he can just play because he wants to play for fun. This wasn't about me, and I don't think he realizes that things would have been much easier for me if he didn't
Uh,
want to keep going the course he was going on.
right.
So we had to talk about he had to prove himself to the coaches, and I think that if Coach Curry and his other coaches sat down and thought about this time, Jackson made varsity fourth game in at Donovan, halftime, got his stripe in the locker room because he finally came full circle and started crushing things. This is when he became a defensive tackle. And he was doing O-line at the same time, but more defensive tackle. So Ty Coleman had been his coach right up until the spring of sophomore year, but it was becoming evident that Jackson he needed position specific. So we found Val Barnaby. I don't know if you're familiar with his name. He was a 4-year superstar over at Rutgers, and then
Yeah,
he was in the
I was going
NFL for a
to ask
little
if that
bit.
was somebody from Rutgers, because
Yeah,
yeah, yep.
yeah. He is a kind man for starters. He's been very good to Jackson and I, especially with me and my financial situation. But he did look at me, a review. I can't stand it when I forget my words. But I brought him
We
in
all do
and,
that, though. We
put
all
him
do
through.
that.
Oh, yeah. At 56 years old, it's happening way more than I care to admit. So he put him through all the drills, and he agreed that he was college material. And that's when I said to him, well, he wants to work towards the NFL. And he said, oh, absolutely. And then I said, D1 football. And he said, oh, absolutely. Because what I kept hearing, and you'll see it all over Twitter, I want to say to any parent out there, no, your only goal should not be to go power four. Of course not. That, it's 1%, it's 2%. But how do you know your kid's not that 1%? Shoot for the stars and cast a wide net. We're in touch with D2 schools. There's a lot of FCS schools. He'll have his choice of FCS schools, and Power Four has come to light. He had a sec school as well, but they don't run the right defense, so it wasn't a good fit. Leave it at that. So this is when I realized he was a 3 tech. And I caught the little trolls. I don't have a lot of trolls on social media, which is smart for them, because
Can you come takes mine away then? No.
I don't do well with trolls, and they don't usually like encountering me either. I'm probably inviting them now, but sometimes I'm in the mood, so bring it on.
Yeah.
But some guy was telling me, I didn't know what I was talking about. There's no such thing as 3 tech. What I did find out recently is 3 tech has actually become more of a thing over the last few years that most people wouldn't know unless your kid is. But because Jackson, he is 6'2" on the nose in the morning. Measure him at 4 o'clock, and he's coming at 6'1 3/4. Like, he is 6'2" on the button, and he's 290 pounds. Now, when you see him, first thing the coaches do is put him on scale, because he does not look like he weighs 290 pounds. He's a big, stocky kid, but there's no fat on him. So when he stands next to someone his weight, they always look like fuller. But because of his height and his weight, I hear all the time, he's an undersized white boy. Undersized is black too, just for the record. But anyways, but he's not undersized for a defensive tackle. If for a 3 tech. Now, yes, if they're going to use him as a nose guard, which I just learned, I'm so proud of myself. That's also called the 0 or 1. This is a lot to learn when you don't know football.
I like this.
Yeah, but because he is a 3 tech, it's different. He needs to get under the pads. He needs to there's swims and clubs, and I'm starting to learn it now, because he talked me into putting turf. We have a condo, 1,000 square feet upstairs, 1,000 downstairs, not a gigantic place, poles in the middle downstairs. I put turf down there for him so that he can practice his moves, his cuts. And so now I'm always come look at, when they're little, Ma, look at this. They still do it at 17 when they have turf in the basement. So
that's what you need. You gotta get turf in the basement for them to do.
Yeah. So because he's a 3 tech, it changes the game for him. So sophomore year, he made varsity. And then somebody said to me, does he have an NCAA number? And so we haven't gotten into any recruiting yet. As far as I knew, you did that like junior year, senior year. So to all the parents out there, you could start freshman year, but if you start any later than a rising junior, which is spring of sophomore year, you're late. Starting your son's recruiting junior year, you're late, especially if you want to go D1. Most D1 schools are they have their players. They're just waiting for them to sign by the beginning of junior year. So when that person asked me about that, I'm like, what are you talking about? And I looked into it, and even a school guidance counselor said, oh, you get that at the end of the year, but a coach had asked me for it. So I got it early. And then I'm like, maybe we should do some camps. Grant, I know nothing about any of this. And then I realized all the camps were in June. It was May 15th. I just started his Twitter. So I'm like, oh, well, okay, I think we're a little behind the 8 ball. I realized quickly, because I'm a social media strategist, and as a female, we manipulate strategy. It's really kind of the same exact thing. So I saw the kids that were getting offers and going to camp. They were being promoted online. So I said, all right, Twitter's a beast. I'd never done Twitter before. I had to take a little mini course. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do this my way. It would only made sense to me that if I'm going to go to a camp, we did one mega camp. We met a coach there. He stayed in touch with us. That story is going to come full circle soon. But I figured, if you're going to go to a camp, shouldn't you just go to the college where the position coach is going to be? To me, it just seemed like what we should do. So we did 9 camps in 6 weeks. I
Wow.
forced someone to die. Yeah, we drove down and we did a mega camp. And he won all his reps, and they didn't even bat an eye at him. And then we went to Syracuse, and I cannot say enough about Coach. I think they call him E-Rob, Elijah Robinson. He's a big deal in the recruiting world, but what a genuine guy. He gave my son the nickname Brick. He called him undersized. I don't think Jackson heard that, but he did. He was thirsty, and I always bring the cooler. I gave him something to drink, so he thought I was a cat's ass. He still follows me on Twitter, and Jackson, on Instagram, and Jackson on Twitter. But a solid guy, so good experience. Then we went to so it was the mega camp, Syracuse. And then we went to Penn State, Delaware, Wagner. I am leaving somebody out. I'll remember later, probably. But what happened was, it was frustrating. And this is, parents, really, I can't encourage you enough to just choose schools. The mega camps are good if it's going to be, like an exposure camp. But if there's not a coach there who knows who your kid is, and my kid's pretty much a pretty freaky kind of kid, winning all his 1v1s, his running time was good. No one knew who he was. So we just left and felt like Monmouth. I told you I had to remember.
Oh, okay. It's still in that circle. You got it.
Yeah. So what happened at Monmouth was, my son he's respectable, a respectable kid. And he had he won every 1v1 at that one. And they were putting him up against what they have at the camps is juniors. This is his year, but juniors that they invited to come, and they put these kids against their best players. Even though Jackson went against him, he didn't make it into the final round. So Jackson finally said to the coach, Coach Cody, what is going on? He goes, you know what, kid, I'm going to be honest with you. Come back next year. The people that were going to be in this were already picked. Now, I don't know why everybody makes this seem like a big secret, but cat's out of the bag. It's not a secret. If you're not on a list, you are not going much further in the camp. However, when we went to Rutgers, the defensive line coach is no longer there, because Jackson would not have went there if he still was not impressed with him at all. But we just felt like, again, he won the 1v1s, won all the drills. We felt like we weren't noticed. We sent messages to the assistant coach, Carazola, who actually is now the defensive coach. You never know what's going to happen. And in January, second day, NCAA allows colleges to come visit. Freaking Rutgers comes walking into Brick Memorial High School. Like, we were just to see Jackson. He texted me, and we're just going about our business, still thinking we're trying to get, him noticed and that. And he was seen at the camp. They put a check mark next to his name. So if you're a sophomore, get to the colleges, go to the camps, introduce yourself. Do not leave that camp without that defensive, with your specific coach's Twitter. You have to have the Twitter. It's not even about the phone number, the Twitter, because on Twitter, these coaches don't, our coach had said, just give me the email address, I'll email them. They asked me for my son's transcripts and a screenshot through DM. We gave weekly updates through DM. We take our posts and we forward it to the DM. This is what we did, and Rutgers ended up showing up. Same thing with Delaware. Great relationship with Coach Rojas. What a stand-up guy. Kept sending him updates. One of the frustrating things about recruiting is, this is when I said it's like being 45 and dating. The silent treatment. Some coaches leave their red receipts on, and at first you're like, oh, good, he read it. And then it's like, yeah, and he didn't respond. It's so annoying. So There's a lot of reasons, they can't build relationships, don't want to build relationships, they're still evaluating you. Just get thick skin and get through it. But we thought for sure he was going to be getting an offer from Delaware. A friend knew the head coach. He said, "Oh yeah, he's on the board." So in January, when visits were coming around, I just got ballsy and I told Jackson, I go, just ask him. The junior visits are out. I'm not going to get off your ass. Just ask him what's going on. And he's like, fine. So he did. He sent him a message and he said, junior visits, you said I was coming. And Coach Rojas was really cool. And he said, he didn't want to have him pass up other opportunities. And in this class, there's no scholarships for defensive tackles. Sucked, but at least he was honest about it.
I was just going to say
So
that.
yeah, so we did when we started doing all that, what I realized was you got to keep these kids' name out there. I worked really hard on local write-ups, so Shore Savages
Yep.
and when you have a kid on the line, those aren't guys that get write-ups a whole lot either. It's a lot of work, but
Yep.
it is all the exposure. You gotta post 3 times a week. What do I post? Figure it out. A workout, a clip from last week. Just you have to keep the kid's name out there, or no one. That's how Coach Spencer found him. I don't know if you know. Do you know who Sean Spencer is? They call him Coach Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he's turned out lots of
Yep.
defensive tackles to the NFL. I
A
mean,
lot.
yeah, and he's responding to my son's text like right away. I'm like, he's not getting thrown under the bus when Jackson is in college.
I
So
want to.
Spencer,
I
I
want to
want
be
you to
on
know
the.
you're okay. You're safe.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I want to go back to one thing because it's so important. I had a scout on last season,
Mhm.
and one of the things she said was exactly what you said. She was like, "Listen, when I asked her, have you had any regrets when she was a soccer athlete, and she's like, I'll be honest with you. She's like, my biggest regret was never looking past Division One. She's like, listen, shoot for Division One. However, keep your eyes open to everything."
Yes.
And she's like, that's what I tell my parents and the kids that need help recruiting. Like, yeah, there's no problem. Shoot, I'm not saying you're not going to be a Division One player. However, don't just automatically cast aside all the other opportunities. You need to keep an open mind. So that's
Yeah.
exactly what you were saying.
No, I agree, and I hear a lot. There's one definite way because there's a lot of misconception out there about the size of an athlete. If you want to go D1, your size matters. Period. End of story. There is no argument. FCS has certain height and weight requirements, and Power Four they have even different ones. That's why when somebody says my son's undersized, I know they don't know their Aspergerello because he is not undersized for Power Four or FCS. Now, if you're 6 feet tall and you are 300 pounds and you're a great D lineman, it's not that you're not a great D lineman, it's that you have to be 6'5" in a Power Four to be a D lineman. If you want to be a tight end, even in FCS, a tight end has to start at 6'4". Yes, there's those people out there that are just great for being undersized, but with the portal, and then I don't know, everybody is giants nowadays. it's really hard to compete. So I agree. It's funny because I argue differently. I get very aggravated because I see recruiters with their posts on Twitter of, you know, um, their message mostly is don't think you're all that, go D2. And it's I always say like I had told you, a wide net. It's fine, but definitely just go right on Google and put in tight end FBS, tight end FCS, tight end D2. And no matter what outlet it is, whether it's NCAA or Joe Schmo who's telling you what it should be, they will all stay the same size. So that is the one time when you can definitively say you cannot play D1 ball if you're not the right size for it.
Now it's funny. I had and this is why I love this again. Make sure you're following Football Mom 2027. I see everything's on the bottom of the screen. They'll be in the description as well. Makes it because the wealth of information, especially on the website. I'm going to be honest with you, the stuff that's on your website is fantastic. So,
Oh, thank you. I haven't been able to do very much with it yet
it's
because
okay.
Jackson's full time now.
Well, even your like again, like your about section is just and I'll be honest with you, just as baby, listen, I've done marketing and PR for the last 15 years, and just the way that you're without even speaking, it's an example of how you have to do it. I mean, everything redirects to Jackson. Everything like you have everything set. You go on Instagram, it's like website, Jackson's Twitter account. Like everything that you're doing is like legitimately spot on. So I want to commend you for that. And obviously, you know what you're doing. So thinking about these platforms, I'm assuming, and I'm being honest, it's Twitter. I'm not sure, but what do you think is the most important platform?
Oh, it is absolutely Twitter. Now, Huddle, every kid has to have a Huddle.
Yes.
I don't know why people even call that a platform. It's just you have to have it, like you need ears to hear. Like you have to have a Huddle. Like period, end of story. But it is absolutely Twitter. I use and my Twitter, my personal Twitter, I mean, I've had it as long as Jackson. I have like 240 followers. I have him up to over 800 because I'm working his right now. Yeah. Twitter is very hard. Your followers aren't as important. People should know that. But the reason that Twitter is the most important
By
one
the
is,
way, I don't want to cut you off, but thank you for saying that. I argue with people about that all the time. They stop worrying about the damn follower count. Okay.
No, like if you look at my Instagram, right? I have I think I just got up to 5,000. I'm growing now, but I think it took me forever to get to 5,000. Like 10 years. 10 years. However, when you look at my view counts, I have the interactions of people who have 500K viewers. So even now, when it comes to sponsors and stuff, they ask for a screenshot of your views because that means that of 5,000 people, my niche is there. Everyone is paying attention. It was my Facebook I started off on. I have like, I don't know, 7K followers on Facebook or something, but yeah.
Everybody starts on Facebook.
Age.
But I'm going to be 48, so I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Twitter because that's where the coaches are. That's where the recruiters are. That's where everyone from the NFL is. And the thing with Twitter is if you're not using it for recruiting, I hated Twitter. The boys shouldn't be on it because it's not good stuff on there. And then it's just like people talking about stupid things, in my opinion. But when it comes to recruiting, it's your resume. I mean, literally, and the way that it's set up, for instance, you have a pinned post, and people always pin their huddle. You should screen record your huddle and pin the screen recording. They have a highlight tab there, which is amazing. I have screen recorded anything you can find on Huddle. If you click on the highlight tab on Twitter, everything's right there. Screen recorded, no commercials, in order, super easy to find. It's a great tool. And the way that you can tag so many people and repost, and that's where all of the media outlets are too.
This is true.
They are bigger beasts than Twitter, boy.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I listen. I love it because sometimes, and I think you'll agree with this, just from a professional standpoint, even though you're confident, and I know I'm confident in what I do, it is nice to when you hear somebody else kind of echo the same sentiments. You're like, okay, even though I was confident, but it's nice to know that, right? It gives you that gratifying feel, man. Like
confidence too. People think confidence is like, you're all that, it. No, you have the balls to do it. And when it happens, like today, I think I'll spend 6 hours trying to get at a coach. Who's following him, who's talking to him, how do I get the algorithm? I mean, it's a lot, but today I was trying to get him some exposure for these visits. I mean, he has a coach talking to him all the time, and I'm looking at 247 say, oh, look at this kid. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. But I got a notification. I said to Jackson, they shared your post about Pitt. So we get very excited and celebrate. And I think one of the downfalls is that nobody's as happy for your kid as you are. And with his father being gone, it's the I hate to say the few times I miss him, but he's been gone for almost 20 years. So, but you don't have that person to turn around and be excited with you about it. So him and I kind of try and get excited. I had a woman who didn't know that she was texting in a group chat I was in. And there was a write up about one of the other kids. And during the season, you'll see it. Like Joe Livio, great tight end, but he's like my other son. His family and I are very tight, and I promote all the boys. And her comment was, there was a write up about all the boys. Jackson's name, I think, was mentioned or wasn't mentioned. And she said, "Oh, isn't it funny how when mom's not, um, I forgot, when mom's not in the mix with these guys, how her son doesn't get mentioned." And I was like, oh, I don't think like that. Like, I'm happy for everybody, like, all the time. I'm a
Yep.
mama bear, and I mean, I would probably throw fists if you wanted to,
Yeah, I
but
love it. I love it. I
for the
love it.
most yeah, for the most part. So I was shocked, and my son said, "Mom, everyone's not happy for us." And I'm thinking, but you're doing so great and we've worked so hard. He's like, Mom, I'm the only one here seeing what you're doing. Nobody has, Mom, no one has a clue what you're doing. They're all going to think we just got right into the Power Force school and
Of
there was
course.
nothing behind it. And I'm like, see, you
Of course.
serious? My
That,
eyeballs are
yep,
burning from holding my cell phone for 6 hours. So,
that's
and
the
when you
side.
say it's full time, it is. But yeah, everyone's not happy for you.
No,
And
it's a
I was,
great
I
point.
was so sad. I was just like, wow.
Well, that's what happens, and it's so funny. We are so alike because, I'm the whole reason why, like, I started, like, my company's called Rise, with a Z, because, and my name is Rise with Tony, because I actually enjoy when people become successful. And a lot of people, like, right away, like, it's constant hate. Like, oh, you know what? They always find something. I'm like, and then when somebody like gives me, I'm like, it takes you back a little bit because I'm thinking,
Yes.
yeah, but I'm like actually happy for people. Like, is that wrong? Like, I don't understand. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
then I have to stay and check that I'm not vengeful because as
yep,
soon as as soon as a coach, and I will say, I'm going to say Sean Spencer again, just because he has come at us so much differently than
uh,
other coaches have. But my first response, it's so bad. I had to like pray for forgiveness. I'm a Christian, which means I'm a sinner. Everybody, hello, not
we
perfect.
all are.
So I know. But you say that, and people are like, "Oh, here she goes." Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
So, but my first response was, "I, you don't, you try not to keep things in your head, but they're there."
yeah,
And my first response was, "Oh well, I wonder how they'd feel about this." Like, and then I'm like, "Ooh." Because now I'm going to get vengeful about it, and then the blessings might stop. I'm always worried
yeah.
about that. But yeah, so when people, I've always come off as confident, but nobody has any idea. Like when I start talking fast, when people are like, you can walk into a room and own it. Yeah, because I feel like everyone's staring at me, and I have to do like I have to do something. Is it because I'm tall? Is it because I'm pretty? Is it because
What is
what
it?
are they staring at me for? There's a lot going on here. Let me tell you, they could be staring at me for any reason, and I'm just automatically like, oh my gosh, hey, how you doing?
Right. Like, and that, you know what though? I think people get intimidated by that, right? Like,
Yeah,
when you're confident, and because I've always heard the same thing. Like, everybody's like, bro, you could talk to anybody. Like, I don't know. I'm comfortable. I don't know. I'm not
yeah.
saying like I'm God's gift to anybody. I just like to talk, and I like
You
to
probably
have.
can talk to someone who most people will say, that man hasn't talked in 6 years.
Yes,
And you're ready to
exactly.
do shots with him.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely, 100%,
Yeah. Yeah. Or
100%.
someone will say, she's jealous of you. And I'm like,
Oh,
what? Me? Like, why? Like, yeah, you're like I am. You probably just don't even have a jealous bone in your body.
I
So,
what am I
yeah.
yeah, it's like, but I will say, and I think it's so important how you mentioned 6 hours, and that's sticking to me because and I parents need to understand it, and I think that's why what you do is so unbelievable because what student athlete that's going to school, that's training, that's lifting, that's practicing, has 6 hours a day to do this kind of stuff. They just don't, right?
Nope.
That's why they
Nope.
need either a mom, a dad, or a strategist or a recruiter to do it because you just
And
don't
you have
have
to be
that
so
time.
careful of those recruiters, man. I mean, when I was
y-
making the
yep.
prices of some of my stuff, I actually took the white glove service off because it was too much to do while I'm doing Jackson. I have friends that pay $2,500, and it's not NC double A. What's the other one? The NCJ. It's the biggest one. It's the one that parents think is very legit. It's not. They're salesmen. I went through the whole process and I've done it too. There's a few recruiters out there. I'll pay $99 to see what you're up to. But I went all the way through and I listened to the guy. They start with, your kid's a great player. I went through his Twitter. I asked 2 questions. I know he didn't go through anything on my son's Twitter.
I love it.
We're gonna get him a profile. We're gonna do it up, and so I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And then here we go. This is like, now we're gonna bring my manager in. We're gonna set up a call. That call's an hour and a half long. Do you know what the end result is? $2,000 to $5,000. And families that don't know anything about this, and I guess have money, because that wasn't an option for me. I literally tried to decide, well, if I sign him up for this or we do that, I could probably pay the mortgage by the 15th. You know what I mean? Pay Peter to Rob Powell.
I love it.
Rob
It's
Powell
real.
pay Peter.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah. So I had my friends, they did this, and the recruiter himself has no followers on Twitter, so who cares if he shares anything? And they got nothing. He did nothing. He did. I turned them on to somebody for $299 who's very affordable, and he has connections. And then I've run into people. I had this one guy one charged me $5,000 because he can make phone calls to get Jackson visits. Like, so, you can either be nice to me and make the phone calls, or you can, kiss off, because $5,000,
That's
and there's no guarantee. Like, I had signed him up, this NIL company, and I didn't know much about it. But they were going to fly people into speed train, and send him to this event and give him this training and help him with finances. And then they hired me to be their social media strategist. I thought this was going to be all great. And then, now I'm on the backside of it. And first of all, if you're an NIL company, you're not supposed to pay kids to do anything. That's illegal. And you also are supposed to be like mentors and supportive. And what I noticed is they're signing kids that they're supposed to build a brand. That was the biggest thing. So I was looking so parents need to watch out for this. I was looking for help because it is full time building his brand. And for anyone who doesn't know, building a brand means his social media presence. It's how they're going to make their money. NIL deals, I won't get too far into it, but when you get paid to go to a Power 4 school, there's side money, and these are in these NIL deals. But what I realized was they weren't building brands for the kids. They are recruiting kids that are already getting scholarships. These families literally are going to get NILs anyways, and they're not doing anything with it. Show up at an event, or they'll call them up to see if they need help balancing a checkbook. There's a lot of companies out there, and they're good. Some of them are good guys, probably meant well. Some of them I don't know, but it's a bunch of bullshit. So any of you out there that have NIL companies coming after you, check their Twitter following, check their Instagram following. Make sure you call 2 of the parents that are involved with them. I was hired to be the one who built the kids' brands, and I was told it's select kids that we do that for. It was nobody. So that I know that I probably got sidetracked, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because and they get you locked into quite a contract too.
That's good. No, it's great advice, because, and again, I know this is a little different, and you'll know this from being in the strategy world. I've always said, and I say this all the time. Number one, that the amount of fraud and scams out there right now is absolutely insane when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I've had people reach out to me, so I do a lot of PR, and I'd have somebody come out to me like, hey, how much would you charge me for a month? And I said, I don't know. They're like, you don't have a price sheet? I'm like, no. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I haven't even talked to you yet. How can I tell you how much something's going to cost if I don't even know what it's going to take. You may not even need something. I don't know. As I said, I tell all my friends, if you see these ads, $4.99 a month, we're going to give you 10 posts and this and that. I said, listen, man, if you don't even have a conversation with somebody, I was like, that I don't believe in any of that. I custom price everybody.
Where are the 10 posts going, right?
Right.
I haven't even sold a single PDF. I did this do-it-yourself PDF, right?
Okay.
Gonna make plenty of money off it because once you do it once, you just give it to everybody, and it's $99. I've made squat. I keep giving it to everybody.
It's you know, and I know everything is different. Like every niche is different.
Yeah.
My thing is, like you said, it's like, you know, engage with this person and find out if they're actually legitimate. Ask the question. I love what you said, because I do the same thing. I love asking people questions I already know the answer to. I can already know you know what you're doing or you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
Like, you know, it's very easy to see. If you get, like, me and you were sitting on Zoom, we've never met. We've exchanged a couple messages on social media. However, we could probably have a conversation. You're going to ask me things. I'm going to ask you things. You're going to know exactly what I know, and I'm going to know what you know. Some people can't do that. They can't.
I almost get offended when a recruiter comes in and says, "Oh, you know, your son's doing really well. This is my recruiting." I'm like, did you even read my bio? Like, why would you come into my DM and ask me if I need your assistance recruiting? Clearly, I do not.
Right. I think, and I'm sorry, I know we're getting off, but that pisses me off to no end. The amount of emails that I get, and they're like, "Hey, would you do you need help booking this client? Would you want to get on USA Today?" I said, I work as a part-time publicist. Why would I need you to do that for me? You haven't even looked at anything. Like, you're just cold pitching, which is an absolute no-no. And people just don't get it.
It's not 2005. There's a company called Expo Recruiting, and I guess I'm still trying to figure out if they're legit. I sent them an email because I have 16 messages from fake accounts that are from Expo Recruiting, and I love playing along. They never even try to steal anything or do anything. They die off. Like, I don't understand what they're doing. They're not even trying to scam me. They're just coming in, taking up a couple of minutes, and then they disappear. It's just there's not a lot of legit help out there. And I think high school coaches, you know, people will say, "Oh, they don't help enough." Listen, these guys got a lot on their plate anyways. However, the game has changed so much in recruiting. I still see people saying to send out a bunch of emails. Do you know that the emails get put on a spam blocker? So if listen, I love Prep Red Zone, one of my favorite platforms, but I don't use their emailing coach thing. You've got millions of kids and parents on there sending these emails. So that's another thing to parents. If somebody says they have 73,000 coaches, well, I probably could give you 73,000 coaches' names too. It's not the way to get to a coach is through Twitter. You can send an email if you want to. Most important thing is the recruiting profile. Let's just say you're thinking of Virginia Tech, for example. You go to Virginia, you search Virginia Tech on Twitter, football. And on their page, they always have a link. And the link's the same for all the colleges. I wish they would get together because it's a lot of information. But you fill that out. Now you're in their in their database, right? Yep. And then you find out who the position coach is, and you follow him. But you have to be active on his page. You've got to leave your notifications on, and this is why it's time consuming. Because you have to be ready when that notification goes. You need to be the first one that's putting a comment on, because he's only there for a minute. A lot of times I'll unfollow him and follow him back, and then I'll make the comment. That way they're right next to each other. I'm telling you, I
love that.
Yes, absolutely. I know some of the coaches are like that little. If I can't get them on Twitter, I go onto my Instagram. Now there's coaches who know this too. I'll find them on Instagram. And then I will get into their Instagram. Then you go to my Instagram, and there's no doubt you don't know who Jackson is, right? But you have to be careful because there's just not. Unfortunately, I think the newer recruiting agencies like Coach West and Tommy Riemann, they just started the Riemann Report.
Okay.
and it's brand new. But you know what? That means they're going to grow. I know their numbers are going to grow. They're both great guys. They really know what they're doing. Yeah, of course they're going to make some money. You have to be able to support yourself. However, when you're starting now, you know the rules now. And I'll just say it again. Anybody who tells you to send out a million emails, they're older. Just like someone says, "Oh, he's in the NFL." Yeah, in 2003.
Yeah.
Last time he got recruited, did they even have email? Do you know what I mean? So
Yep.
you really
Yep.
have to consider the source.
I like that. No, it's so true because some people get stuck in their old ways, right? They never do. Now I want to I want to pivot a little bit because
Sure.
your background is especially nutrition, right?
Hmm.
One of big, let's talk about nutrition training and development for a little bit. And I think one of the biggest things I hear people that are not sure, not understanding what would you say maybe like a common mistakes that parents, athletes are making with training and diet?
So, with training, I like to be careful because I'm still one of those people who doesn't think that kids should be training when they're too young. I think that they should be actively involved in things that are going to develop their muscles, like playing soccer, lots of leg development. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I don't have enough knowledge to fight somebody on it. So you do you, I'll do me. I didn't get my son into a gym until he was just barely sixth grade. But when it comes to nutrition, first thing that people are doing wrong straight from birth is not giving their kids enough protein. My son, I put amino acids in his formula. So, and everyone thought I was crazy, but amino acids are one of those things that your body, when you're talking about that kind of a protein, you can't get it from food. Um, if you think about a kid's diet, like there's no protein. Kids aren't chewing on meat, you know what I mean? And most kids don't like yogurt, so protein at a young age is important. And at that point, milk, I guess, is making a comeback. It never went out of style in my house. Milk is, and everyone should know it should be whole milk, not skim milk, whole milk, just like way back in the day. Great source of protein. And the reason is because when the kids' muscles are developing, I mean, their muscle development at 5, look at my son, it matters when they're older if they're going to be an athlete. The other thing is sources of carbohydrates. There's a big I actually am getting my bachelor's in sports management right now, and I'm taking nutrition courses because my nutrition knowledge is very old school. And I just found out that they flipped the pyramid. They're actually going back to the way we did diet bodybuilders, which is kind of neat because I don't have to learn as much. But the carb the carbohydrate sources, food, and there's a lot of video games now. So if we're talking athletes, we're not talking about kids that are stuck in front of TVs playing video games because athletes don't have time to do that. So we'll talk athletes. When it comes to their food, it's quick. Athletes and parents, they're on the run 24/7. That's why I food prep. You'll see my videos, you demolish in my kitchen and stuff, but I think we cook 20 something pounds of chicken, and I mean it's got to be 50 pounds of meat altogether on a Sunday, and then rice, sweet potatoes, because you have to have something ready to go. Otherwise you are grabbing something fast food. I don't care if it's a restaurant or not, it's still not made at home. Carbohydrate sources are really important. Yes, fruit's good, but fruit's what's called a simple carbohydrate, which means your body processes it quickly, so it's not something that holds them for very long. So I think where people make mistakes is they're not getting enough protein as kids and they're giving them the wrong carbs, potato chips, crackers. I always say if it didn't grow on the earth or walk on the earth, you shouldn't be eating it, which gets complicated. But nowadays there's other choices. Your kid does not have to have Doritos. They literally make protein chips now. They make crackers, rice cakes. There's a lot of options. Another rule that's easy for people to follow is don't ever put a carbohydrate in your mouth without a protein. I have been known to drink 3 glasses of wine and cut up a chicken breast because wine is a carbohydrate. So it's balanced because if you do not put something in your body when you put the carbs in that's going to feed that muscle, then it's all going to get stored to fat. So it's really important to balance it. But yeah, I would definitely say that when it comes to nutrition, between the schedule that athletes and their parents are on, and yeah, do I want to sit on my ass on a Sunday? Of course I do. But do I want to order pizza all week? Because I will. If there's no food in the fridge, sometimes on Sundays after I cook, we order pizza.
Oh wow, I
So
like that.
tired from
I
being in the
like
kitchen.
that.
That's
Nothing
what he
wrong with
always says.
that.
He's like, yeah, because I'm tired from being in the kitchen. But if you take that 3 or 4 hours all week long, you're not spending it. I even take his I started letting him have cereal again. I stopped buying it because he ate the whole box, and it just drives me crazy. It's probably still not that expensive. I don't know. Maybe I'm old, but you eat a whole box. I just bought it yesterday. I 4 gallons of milk a week he drinks. So I started buying yeah, him and his milk. So I started buying him grape nuts came out with flakes. So I was
Okay.
happy about that. So I put them in baggies. I take the time, whatever I buy, rice cakes, doesn't matter what it is, it's in single servings, and then there's a big skull with an X on it, and that means it's mine, because he likes to eat my food too. But again, it does take time. People say I don't have that kind of time, right? But you don't have to go to the grocery store because your kid just ate your whole box of cereal. Plus, you don't need that much anyways. But yeah,
I,
did I answer your question? I think I went
Yeah,
on a
no,
rant.
listen, I love it. Again, make sure footballmom2027.com to get all these nutrition sources right here, man. Like
I am going that way,
I saw you said it's
because
coming soon, so I see you're getting there,
yeah,
right?
because the helping people with social media, especially now that Jackson's is taking off, it's like I said, I'll spend 4 hours trying to get into a coach's Jackson on a coach's radar. So I think I'm going to go more into the nutrition because I have more time to do something like that. Once
Nice.
he's in college, the sky's the limit.
I was gonna
You
say
know?
gloves are off then. It's all
Yeah.
you're ready.
Yeah, my goal now is just to build the following, and keep you'll see that I'm starting to do that on my Instagram a little bit more. There's a little more posts that are for other people. It's not hard to create content with him because I've his schedule now. So we do 2 colleges this weekend, the Steel Showdown. That'll be a whole week of stuff that
I was
comes
gonna
up.
say, yeah.
Then we're doing visits, and then in April, because I'm after stars. So people say stars don't matter. Well, I told him in May, I said, you're going to go to the Under Armour Combine. And he thought I was out of my mind. It was only a week ago that he actually was like, I'm really going. Yeah, I said you
Yeah.
were going.
I
So
told you were going. God damn it, you're going.
and especially after I checked with him in January, and I said, dude, you need to 100%. You do your part. That's a lot of training. You got to eat. I'm probably the only person who grounds her kid. I literally grounded him from the car because he didn't eat 2 of his protein shakes because he couldn't get the food in. So I said, this is it. You're doing your thing. I'm doing mine. And he's great because he really gives me the credit for what I do. But come April, he's doing the Adidas 3-stripe in Atlanta, then the Adidas 3-stripe in New England, then he's doing the Under Armour, then he's doing the You Are an Athlete, and then PSR, and then Coach Tony Charles of the Army Bowl came into our messages, and if Jackson can get his speed up a little, wants to nominate him for All-American, so I guess we're doing the American Bowl. So
Oh,
we're
that's
busy.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Busy, but listen, it's deserved. It's great.
thank you.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I will one more thing. I just want to get into one more thing before I
Mhm.
get you out of here because like you said, you notice a lot of my stuff. I deal with a lot of mental health, especially for athletes, and the anxiety part of youth sports and comes with the word burnout, synonymous with a lot. So with you doing so much and with Jackson doing so much is over the course of his journey, did you ever, number one, worry about burnout, or did you ever, how did you balance it to make sure that didn't happen?
So I have a very open relationship with my kids because their father took his life. We probably think it was bipolar. I have a daughter who is she's actually finishing her bachelor's degree to be a teacher because she wants to be able to help other kids, but she
Oh, that's awesome.
has the same problem. So I my relationship is very open with my children. I'm fortunate that I can kind of tell if something's up, but I check in all the time. it's very easy, and I've been accused of it, that I'm pushing Jackson. Listen, that kid can just sit down and I'll be okay. But when your child is trying to keep their grades up, training after school with the team, training any kid that's going in a scholarship direction, they're training after that as well, trying to balance friends. uh, Peer pressure from other kids is not something that's been big with my kids because of how I've raised them. But I would say it's checking in with them. It's making sure that you go into your account if you have it. I can see my son's screen time. It's important to know that when you go to sleep, if you let them, they're probably on their phone all night, not sleeping. Sleeping causes lack of sleep causes a lot of emotional problems, and I don't know if people realize that or not. But an emotionally drained child from not having enough sleep, who's trying to manage everything they're managing, is a lot. So, in all honesty, checking in with them, and more than anything, making sure that they have some me time. I look at the things that he sacrifices. Um, and it sounds weird because he's not on the video games all the time. So I always try to make sure I try to let him do it on a school night, but he always screws it for himself because he doesn't get off when he's supposed to, just because his friends are all on there. So,
Yeah.
I want to give him that. Or on a Saturday, because he tries to work. You as an athlete, that's difficult as well. Who's gonna let you work 4 hours twice a week? Luckily he found a job, but um I always make sure that he has downtime and that he has some time to go out with his friends, and then that he's getting enough sleep. That's so checking in, I guess, is what I'd say. Do you agree? Does that kind of, because I
Yeah,
know that
no,
you.
I listen, I'm very just with Mike, I'm very close with my kids and I'm following every step. And it's like, it's funny. And you'll know this because we're from the older generation, right?
Right.
So everybody would make fun of me because they say, oh, my daughter's gonna be 26. Like, is it Full House talk time? Like, is it Danny Tanner talk time? Like, we would have Full House talks. Like,
Yep.
that's my thing. Just keep that line of communication open. Understand that they can come to you for anything. No, and then the thing is, when you become that close with your kids, they don't have to tell you they're burned out. You can see it,
Yes.
right? You can
And
start to
college
see those
burns them
signs.
out. Before we were the scholarship route, he was in eighth grade, and he had pretty much a full blown meltdown. And I talked to my daughter, and I have older children too, so I can always call. And I didn't realize that I'm not a person who pressure doesn't affect me the way it does normal people, I guess. And because of that, and just like somebody had said to me, "What, you've never thought of taking your life?" No, I honestly, I don't think the world would be a better place without me. I mean, I don't think you absolutely need me, but I, you know, I just never thought of it before.
Right.
So, college is a big stress, especially if it's not. I like to check in with Jackson because one of his biggest things is he wants to make sure that this is going to be my full-time job and that I am going to make more money than I've ever made in my life because of his NIL deal and him going to the NFL, or because he invests his NIL money right. I mean, these kids are making between $100 and $1 million a year playing college football. I mean, it's so I always make sure I say to him, I've been surviving for 56 years. It's sweet, really sweet, but if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be just fine. Because the kids can put that pressure on, because if you have a child that sees everything you're doing, now they have that extra pressure that they feel like they have to do it. I even said to him once, I go, that's on, I even said to him once, I go, that's on you, because I keep telling you that that is not what you need to do. All
No,
kidding aside though, but yeah,
it's a great point. I mean,
yeah, and
we hear it all the time, right? When you see kids
yeah,
dressed, they're like, right for mom or grandmom or dad,
yeah.
knowing what they went through to get them there.
Yeah, and I guess the process, when you're an athlete and you're getting a scholarship, the process of getting into college, this is more about who's going to take me and how you're going to fit. There's no essays, and so kids that are going to college and they're going to play a sport there, but they still have to they have to worry about their extracurricular activity. And I guess I don't know anything about this, but I guess there's a big essay you have to write when you apply for a college. That is apparently extremely stressful for these kids. Can't they just chat GBT for it? They use it for everything else.
Well, I wouldn't be
Those
surprised.
essays must be getting really good now, right?
We didn't have that. We didn't have any of
I
that,
don't think
right?
I'd be passing college if it I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll give them my entire 900 pages. This brain does not remember 900 pages, and ChatGPT condenses it to like 30 pages for me so that I can understand what it is. But yeah, chat, that's a whole conversation for another day. But yeah, I'd
No,
say check in with your kids.
no, I
Absolutely. And
agree.
make sure this is still their dream. I know a lot of dads try to live through their vicariously through their sons and stuff. So yeah, just check in.
That's trust me, that's a conversation for another day for sure. I know all about that. Seriously. Before we go, just and again, I know I have everything down on the screen and everything's going to be in the description. But number one, I thank you wholeheartedly for joining me. I know your time is precious for everything that you're doing, and just with the help that you're doing to your own family, but also just this insight over the last 50 something minutes that you've been given to everybody who listens. So let give it everybody a little quick snapshot. Listen, if they want to get to you, how they get to you.
The best way to reach me is through DMs, Twitter or Instagram. I'm finally starting to be on Twitter. Twitter, I am FB Mom 2027 because somebody took it and doesn't use it.
I hate
If
that.
I'm always happy to answer questions. I do have a website, footballmom2027.com. There's some stuff on there. If you follow me, you'll see over the next year. Soon as Jackson is in college, everything you see will be launched full time. But if you have any questions about recruiting, at this point I want to help. When it comes to nutrition and dieting, I will be launching the nutrition program, and it's going to be something that's affordable. I think I'm going to go like the $5.99 subscription on Instagram or something, because that gets expensive too. So I want everybody out there to know that what I'm trying to do is give back so other people don't screw you, because I was the one who beat the bullies up in school. So I can't stand people taking advantage of parents, people trying to do right by their kids. It's just gross.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I I totally agree.
But I would love a
Yeah,
follow. That's what I would love.
yes,
Love a follow on Twitter and love a follow on Instagram. That way, if you guys want to help me out at all, that would be wonderful. And I
and
want to thank
yep,
you too. This was wonderful. This was great. I'd love to come back on in a little
oh,
while. We'll check in. If you ever want to
absolutely,
have Jackson on, he
absolutely.
did a podcast, and they
I
kept him
did.
every week after that.
Oh,
A
that's
sports
awesome.
podcast, yeah.
That's awesome. And just so everybody knows that all and Jackson's information is on the bottom of the screen as well. So make sure not only are you following Tanya, but you need to follow Jackson as well, because I'm just going to go back to where we started. It's about seeing hardworking individuals be successful. So it's about cheering on from the sidelines, right? I mean, that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. And, whether it's anxiety, whether it's achievements, listen, it works both ways. And yeah, you're always welcome to come back.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. I can't wait. Like when you're full time, Jackson gets into the school that he wants, and you decide you're going to go full time, you come back on. Let's promote the hell out of it. Let's talk about it, because again, I have a lot of kids, especially, and parents of kids that do watch this, especially in my area, that are asking these same questions that you're answering. So I appreciate
Well,
it.
that's probably one of the things that I should have mentioned. We will. So first of all, Jackson will never forget. Him and I both. We never forget the people that were here in the beginning who believed in us. So when he's a big famous NFL person, guess who's coming on your show for no
Oh,
charge?
you hear that, right?
It
I'm
will
not
be
asking for
him,
that. I'm just saying, like,
absolutely.
that's much appreciated.
Which brings me to I am launching a fundraiser and sponsorship for Jackson.
Okay.
Businesses can get their logos, on it depends on which package you decide to go for. But on my Instagram, your logo would go down the bottom for, say, 2 weeks of stories. And for just anybody out there that wants to help, we're doing a 1 through 100. You pick one number and you donate that amount of money. So I'll be launching that on the website and the social media sites, because his travel is I'm well into $10,000 out of pocket, and I'm looking at about that again with him getting into the other events.
Wow.
So Yeah, as an only parent, yeah.
And that's it.
Somebody had said, "Well, we could do this for Tanya because she's low income." Excuse you,
Yeah.
I am not low income. I am one income. I mean, that might be low income, but it's still one income. Don't call me low income.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. But
Yeah,
and again, that's another discussion, and we'd even get into that. We'll get into another day. It's just these rising costs. Everything has, and I don't want to get into it and open up but the last thing I'll just say is, like, when you mention things about, you go do this and you charge for, whether it be you took the white glove thing off because you didn't have time to do it right now, right? But the nutrition, and you're going to start charging the program, and then some people are like, oh, here we go, trying to make money. Do you realize that people need to make money in order to make this happen? And I say this all the time. Just remember something. Like, I never mind paying for anything if I get a quality product back. You always have to pay for something. The thing is, right? It's when you find somebody that you can trust, that they know what they're doing. That's when you do.
I almost feel bad when I charge money. I just feel like, I will say this though. The parents, the families that have money to fund their kids, those are the kids you're seeing. It's pay to play. Unfortunately, for instance, the trip to the Adidas Pro Day, I mean, I think it was only $100, which, don't get me wrong, $100 is a lot of money, but it's getting there and staying there. That all the money is. So yeah, I could afford the $100, but the $1,500 that comes along with it. And then if you don't go, when you're in this area and you're up in the Northeast, if you don't go south or west, your kid is not doing it. You could be a superhero in Pittsburgh and Jersey all you want to be, but if you are not going up against where those kids are all getting D1 scholarships just because they live in Georgia. They go to school in Georgia. So yeah.
It's funny you mentioned about that. And last thing I'll say is, I always used to say to my buddies, and this is going back 10, 15 years, and every weekend the softball tournaments, every weekend, everybody's like, what's ain't that included? Yeah, it's included. But how about every weekend? It's a $1,500 weekend, because I got to stay at a hotel. I got to travel. I got to eat. I got 2 other kids that want to eat, or I'm paying. Like, nobody even looks at that.
Or elite trainers. Those guys are charging $150 a session. Your son's great. All right, good. $150. Yeah. Apparently he's not that great. Shit.
It's so true.
That's like almost a week's worth of groceries in this day and age.
It is insane. It is insane. I can't say it, Tanya. This has been amazing.
Yeah, no, this was great. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I really do. And for everybody, make sure, like I keep saying, make sure you follow Fighting for Overtime, all social formats. Make sure you're following Tanya and Jackson. Okay, you gotta.
You find him when you find me, anyways.
Right, it's a 2-for-1, man. It's 2-for-1, right? It's 2-for-1. It's Jax2027 _. Okay, and again, it's at FootballMom2027 on IG, and everything will be on there on the website as well. So everybody, like I always say, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. And Tanya, hold on for me as the intro goes out. I'll get back and talk to you. I appreciate everybody's time. We'll catch you back here next time. Fighting for Overtime is a Rise and React media production. If you're looking to start a podcast, if you're looking to get some direction, hit us up, let us know. We'll help you out there as well. Again, for everybody, enjoy your time, memories and moments, and keep fighting that fight. Continue to fight in overtime to make your kid have the best experience that they can have when it comes to playing youth sports.